everyone. We're the music teachers at Wildwood. I'm Mrs. Sikora.
And I'm Mrs. Schwister, and we're excited to present to you the Wildwood Music grade level programs for 2021.
This year, students were fortunate to work with local songwriter and artist in residence, James Hirsch. Mr. Hirsch helped students write original songs based on storybook themes and recorded them for the performance you are about to see.
Students met with Mr. Hirsch 2 times in April during music classes to create and compose a class song. With Mr. Hirsch, they discovered how songs can have rhymes and patterns. They chose the tempo and the style of their songs. They brainstormed themes and lyric ideas. And then Mr. Hirsch helped the students put their ideas into a song form.
After the songs were written and rehearsed, students recorded their class song with Mr. Hirsch, and we put them together in the performance you're about to see today.
Mr. Hirsch's residency was funded by a generous grant from the Wildwood Artist Series of Matamidi. We thank them for their continued support of music residencies in the Matamidi schools every year.
In a moment, you will see the behind-the-scenes look at how Mr. Hirsch and the students worked together to write their songs during his residency.
And then, sit back and enjoy the culminating video performance of all the songs the students created. We hope you enjoy the show.
I started doing this about 30 years ago, maybe 29, and I was asked to just come and be a part of my daughter's class, to let music be a part of her learning, and I enjoyed it, and it seemed to work with the kids. So other teachers asked me if I'd do the same thing with them, and pretty soon I was getting calls and invitations to bring music into the classroom for learning. Well, under my bed are dirty socks, old comic books, and a cardboard box. Well, first I introduce myself and I play the guitar for them, and then I give them the ideas that we want to try to come around to a story for, and they start to brainstorm, and we come through with enough ideas to get us a good start of a song, and I come back again for another half-hour session where we finish the song, maybe even kind of change our minds on a couple things, and then we finish it, record it so we can remember it and sing it and practice it, and then if I have time I'll sing them a song of my own. Okay. 2 different ways to go, and I'm going to have one of you decide which one would be the best for us today, okay? What do you think?
I think maybe slow.
Slower than that? How about this? Good. So, now, medium we said, we'll put my capo here. It could sound a little like this. The hope is that somehow in the magic of rhythm and rhyme and words and music and melody, that there's some way that connects to kids in how they learn. And sometimes it's a surprise who responds, but it's always something that seems fun to the kids. So I hope that they have fun primarily, but secondarily, I hope that they find a new way of learning. We want to make up a song that talks about a little tiny meek mouse whose life he felt was tough because he was so little.
Yeah, like that.
Instead of saying da-da-da, I need you to help me think of some words now that will fit the story, but nobody seems to care. What do you think? You got that first verse done, I think. Let's do another in the same pattern. Remember, now what we got is this kind of rhythm and these rhyming words. Let's do it again. My favorite part is when I see the excitement when students recognize that they have actually made a song up. And they are surprised. And they're very excited to own the song. And that makes me feel good. That's my favorite part.
He's sad we can't dance.
He's sad. Ooh. It makes him feel kind of sad. We could say that. Show the world how we're feeling. You know, I see every song, something in there I would never have thought of. And so what we do is we just want it to be an open, blank canvas and give them a little bit of a structure to then, for their imaginations, and to come up with ideas. So they come up with many things I would not have thought of. And then my job is to take those things and organize them a little into melody, into rhythm, and then they help me figure out the rhymes, and we end up with something none of us would have ever thought of on our own. To reach out their hand and help to make me feel good. I've done this a long time, and I've sung music for all kinds of audiences, and I've sometimes found myself wishing that I could do more. I could get attention of people who are too busy. Well, I find with kids, that's never a problem. With kids, they're ready to listen to me, and they're interested in the idea that I can make music with my hands and my guitar. And so it's just very rewarding for me to have found a way to use music in a way that I think is important and has purpose. Want to run and hide. I think music has got a unusual, unique ability to connect, and not just to our brains, but to our emotions and to each other. So it's a team building exercise. It's also something I think that students discover something about themselves, and I think that music can do this in a way that none of the other disciplines can do.
Water makes the flowers bloom and sunshine makes them grow. In my heart I feel the love that you and I can know when we care about each other.
Hello Wildwood families, I'm Scott Brisky, principal of Wildwood Elementary. I'm excited to introduce to you our Wildwood grade level music program for the school year. This year, performances are coming to you recorded live from the Wildwood Music Room. Students have rehearsed and practiced their songs and are ready to perform for you today. We're very proud of the beautiful songs they have created and the fine job that they've done recording their performances with artist James Hirsch this spring. We want to thank the Wildwood Artists Series of Matamidi for funding Mr. Hirsch's residency, and now sit back, relax, and enjoy the Wildwood Music Concerts of 2021.
The Lion Inside by Rachel Bright and Jim Field.
In a dry, dusty place where the sand sparkled gold stood a mighty flat rock, all craggy and old. And under that rock, in a tiny full house, lived the littlest, quietest, meekest brown mouse. He was so very tiny, so incredibly small, that nobody noticed him, ever, at all. He got stepped on and sat on. He missed out on stuff, ignored and forgotten. His mouse life was tough.
Hoping someday to have
Meanwhile, far above, on top of the rock, times were quite different. It was Lion Oclock. This huge toothy creature made sure everyone saw how important he was and how loud he could roar. He was head of the pack. He was shouty and proud. He loved flexing his biceps and wooing the crowd. Yes, all were impressed by this mighty King Cat. If only, thought Mouse, I could be more like that.
Then late one dark night, in his tiny mouse bed, the cleverest thought popped into his head. He leapt up the darkness and held up a paw. "I've got it," he said. "What I need is a roar." I mean, what if this mouse with the weeniest squeak were a little more grrr and a little less weak? Well, he'd still be the smallest of fuzzy brown mice, but he'd make friends and join in, and life would be nice. Yes, thought the mouse, I must find out how. I will learn how to roar, and I will learn it now. But it wouldn't be easy. There was only one beast who could teach him this thing, but might make him a feast. It was time to be strong Take a chance, after all. Forever was such a long time to feel small.
So he made himself brave, and he thought like a winner. He set off for the top, hoping not to be dinner. It felt like the scariest thing he could do, but if you want things to change, you first have to change you. The farther he climbed, the closer he got to the slumbering lion reclining on top. Then at last he stood on his tippity toes. He found himself suddenly nose to nose. Ahem, gulp, pardon me. Wake up, Mr. Lion, you've got company. Squeak, Mr. Lion, what I've come to you for is squeak. Do you think you could teach me your roar? As silence befell that twinkling plain, Lion opened his eyes and puffed out his mane. Time went so slowly, it felt like a week. Then he opened his mouth and let out an eek.
So the mouse won't be
The lion curled up in a terrified ball. He did not like this, not one bit at all. "Don't hurt me," he whimpered. "Oh, try to be nice." Well, this mighty great lion was frightened of mice. "Don't worry," Mouse peeped. "I'm here as a friend. Let's hang out together. Be pals to the end." That was a magical moment for sure, when the mouse didn't feel at all small anymore. He had found his true voice and learned to speak out. And for that, you don't need to roar or to shout. And from that day and always, the two were a pair. They both liked that rock better, now that rock was to share. The mouse, while still little, felt big in his head. And Lion, he still roared. "Ah!" but with a laughter instead. "Ha ha 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 ha!" Yes, that day they both learned that no matter your size, we all have a mouse and a lion inside.
Giraffes Can't Dance by Giles Andrea and Guy Parker Reese.
Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully crooked and his legs were rather thin. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off trees, but when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. Now every year in Africa, they hold the jungle dance, where every single animal turns up to skip and prance. And this year, when the day arrived, poor Gerald felt so sad, because when it came to dancing, he was really very bad. The warthogs started waltzing, and the rhinos rock and rolled. The lions danced a tango that was elegant and bold. The chimps all did the cha-cha with a very Latin feel, and 8 baboons then teamed up for a splendid Scottish reel.
It makes him want
swallowed bravely as he walked toward the floor. But the lions saw him coming, and they soon began to roar. "Hey, look at clumsy Gerald," the animals all sneered. "Giraffes can't dance, you silly fool. Oh, Gerald, you're so weird." Gerald simply froze up. He was rooted to the spot. "They're right," he thought. "I'm useless. Oh, I feel like such a clot." So he crept off from the dance floor and he started walking home. He never felt so sad before, so sad and so alone. Then he found a little clearing and he looked up at the sky. "The moon can be so beautiful," he whispered with a sigh.
"Excuse me," coughed a cricket who'd seen Gerald earlier on, "but sometimes when you're different, you just need a different song. Listen to the swaying grass and listen to the trees. To me, the sweetest music is those branches in the breeze. So imagine that the lovely moon is playing just for you. Everything makes music if you really want it to." With that, the cricket smiled and picked up his violin. Then Gerald felt his body do the most amazing thing. His hooves had started shuffling, making circles on the ground. His neck was gently swaying and his tail was swishing around. He threw his legs out sideways and he swung them everywhere. Then he did a backward somersault and leapt up in the air. Gerald felt so wonderful. His mouth was open wide. "I'm dancing! Yes, I'm dancing! I am dancing!" Gerald cried.
1, 2, 1, 2, ready, stop.
Then, one by one, each animal who'd been there at the dance arrived while Gerald boogied on and watched him, quite entranced. They shouted, "It's a miracle! We must be in a dream. Gerald's the best dancer that we've ever seen." "How did you learn to dance like that? Please, Gerald, tell us how." But Gerald simply twirled around and finished with a bow. Then he raised his head and looked up at the moon and stars above. "We all can dance," he said, "when we find music that we love."